then we can talk about whether or not we can consider replacing it. Do you need something, sister? Okay. Then we can talk about becoming that ourselves now. Come on, we can't just become something we don't know what it is we're becoming. We don't know what's required. We don't know what goes into it. We don't put the effort into it. Maybe we would if we really understood it. So we're just going to today we're just going to look at high level the original temple, which was the tabernacle, and then the first temple. There were three total places. There was the tabernacle, which moved around. It was a tent. There was the first temple, which Solomon built. Then there was a second temple, which was built after Nebuchadnezzar had come in with the Babylonians and destroyed Israel, destroyed the first temple. And then later they came back and they built a second temple. These all were different. And God handled each of them different. So that's what we're going to take a little bit of a look at. What is a tabernacle? When Israel came along and they went out into the wilderness, they left Egypt. They didn't have any place to worship God. Just wherever they went to a mountain, a stream, a rock, set up an altar, piled up a bunch of rocks, put a sacrifice on it. That's where they worshiped him. There was no set place. There was no set way to do it. God hadn't given them that yet. So whenever they come along and they get over there to Mount, losing my mind now, was it Horeb? Where they got the Ten Commandments, and God started talking to them. Started talking to Moses and giving him the rules, giving him the law, giving him his commandments. You need to make me a place. See, God always wanted to be able to dwell with man, to come down and actually dwell with man. But he couldn't yet dwell in man. There was a very specific reason he couldn't. Remember we talked about this. He is God. He is purity. He is holiness. Sin cannot be where he is. It's not he won't accept it. It can't be where he is. His presence will destroy it. He told Moses this. You can't even look at me. It'll kill you. Why? You're not a holy person. You're trying to live for me, but you don't have Christ's blood to wash away sin yet. All you had was the blood of animals to cover sin. You weren't washed pure with Christ's blood yet. He couldn't dwell within us, so he would come and be where we were. That's where the tabernacle came in. Make a place for me. We're not going to look at this today. This is a whole different lesson. Brother Mike's brought it up a few times, how complex and involved building just the tabernacle was. Extremely complex, extremely involved, very, very precise. And if you think that was involved and precise, you should have seen the requirements to build Solomon's temple. It was even more unbelievable. Oh, come on, this is where God's going to dwell. You don't just throw up any old shed and he'll just come dwell in it. It doesn't work that way. Come on, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way with our lives either. With our soul, we don't just give him just something. Well, no. It's got to be a place for God to dwell. It requires something. So they had to build this. They had to make a tabernacle. A tabernacle is a portable structure. And it actually isn't just exclusive to the tabernacle that the Israelites worshiped God in. Well, many, many places were built that were portable structures that were called tabernacles, used for different things. It was just a name like we would call something a tent. It was a name for a place. But in their case, it was the place. It was the tabernacle. This is the one God said to make. And it was a portable structure. At its root level, you could call it a tent because it was covered with animal skins. But when it was set up, it was a building. When it was completely set up and staked down and moved, put in the ground and not moved, it was not a tent. You just go out and pull a stake and walk away. You had to disassemble it and unbuild it. It was built completely up. The inside of it was built out of wood, covered with gold. And when you went in there, you wouldn't even know you were in a tent structure on the inside. On the outside, you could tell. On the inside, you could not. It was built at God's requirement. Moses, I want you to make a place for me. I want to come dwell with my people. I want to be with them. Here's the requirements. Again, a whole nother lesson. Big, long list of requirements. Took a long time to do, to get this thing built just right. It allowed them to take God with them everywhere they went. Because they were going to be on the move. They weren't going to be in one. They didn't have their land yet. They didn't have a place to dwell yet. They were going to take God with them as they moved around. God knew in advance what would happen. He knows all things. He knew that they would reject him, and only some of them would get to go in. It was going to be 40 years, not 4 months, before they got to go into Canaan. They needed a place that he could dwell. And just because it was portable doesn't mean it wasn't fit for God. Again, when we look at this at some point down the road about what the tabernacle actually was, what this thing involved, what it took, this was a very, very elaborate place inside. And yet, completely paled in comparison to the first temple that Solomon built. His was so elaborate, it just blew everybody away. People came just to look at it because it was so unbelievable how beautiful the place was Solomon made for God to dwell. But that's just the part that man sees. God sees this too. But then it was set aside. It was sanctified. It was dedicated to God and his use. Not just anybody or everybody could go in it. You couldn't just go do anything you wanted. A couple of the Levites found that out. They went in there and tried to light a fire that, God had a certain way this had to be done. He sent fire down on an altar. That fire was to be kept alive forever. They went in, they had let the fire go out, they tried to light their own. He killed them. Right there in the tabernacle. You do it my way. That's the only thing that will ever be accepted is my way. Come on, when we're thinking about where God's temple, God dwells in us now, as Paul told us. He doesn't accept just everything. He's never changed. Come on, we got to get over this thing. We can do it how we want, and God will take whatever we want to give. No. He'll tell you what he'll take. You either give it or you don't. It isn't up to you how much you want to give. He'll tell you what he will accept. Will you give it or won't you give it? That's his covenant. It's always been his covenant from day one. I'll be your God. I'll do this. I'll take care of you. I'll fight your battles. I'll do all these things. You be my people. You live for me with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. It wasn't a negotiation. I'm just telling you what it is. This is what I'll do. You do that, I'll do this. You didn't get a negotiation in there. Yours was yes or no. He's God. We don't negotiate with him on whether we serve him and how we serve him. We got to he's way, way up here. We should be extremely, extremely thankful he allows us to serve him. Come on, that'll help us learn our place. That'll help us bring us to where we belong. He allows us to serve him. He permits us to be his children. So Moses went through all this work. The people went through all this work. They had together the exact right requirements, the exact things the way God said to do it. I remember there was 3 different animal skins that had to be made into coverings. They had 3 layers of coverings to make this tent. It wasn't just a tent. It was one layer, then another animal layer, then another animal layer over on the outside of it. No idea yet what the purpose was. God may or may not open that up. I've read it before and never could understand a purpose, other than it was very waterproof. But they had to find that many of those animals to make that thing. And they couldn't have damaged species. They had to all be perfect. Just like the sacrifices. You couldn't bring in a sheep or a goat that had a leg broken or had a scar on it or had a mark on the fur. It had to be perfect. They could only bring the ones that were perfect to God. That's all you could offer. You didn't offer the damaged goods. They did all the work. They got it up. They built it. Now, it's time. Is God going to honor this? He said to build this thing. What's he going to do? Let's look at that. Exodus 40, 17 through 38. Sister Janice, do you mind getting some of that? If you get tired, let me know.
I want to read verse 16 first because of what it says.
Go right ahead.
Thus did Moses according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set up the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation, over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. And he burnt sweet incense thereupon, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set up the hangings at the door of the tabernacle. And he put the altar of burnt offerings by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offerings and the meat offerings, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and he put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. When they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he reared up the court around the tabernacle, and set the altar, and set up the hangings of the court gate, as Moses finished the work.
Hang on right there, just a second. Look at, he's already built the temple. All the detail and work that went into building the temple itself. This was just preparation to worship in the temple. We need to understand, when we're going to start talking here in another couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about us being God's temple and what that takes, what that means. Look what they did just to try to get a temporary place where God would condescend to come down and worship with them and be there. How much effort they had to be just right. Moses had so much work after it was completely built, all these things, just to get ready so God would come down.
Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon. And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journey. But the cloud were not taken up, when they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys.
Think about this. You are now out in the desert, out in the wilderness, and God's come down. You did all this work. You've been working probably, from what I can understand, this took them a while to put together. This wasn't an overnight task. They've done all this work. They got it just so. Man, this Moses is a slave driver. Why does it have to be so? Why can't these things be a little bit square? Why do they have to be perfectly round? Why can't this be this? Why this? Why this? This is how God said it had to be. Yeah, but why? Come on, we're humans. This is how people are. And we do this on our own. Well, Lord, why? This is what I said. Why? Well, that's what they had. They finally get it all done. Oh, well, we've done it exactly like he said. And God come down. He honored it. And now they got something that nobody has ever seen since. God stayed there and gave them a live, visible witness every single day for 40 years. Come on, not just happened once and went away. This was every day. By day, it was a pillar of cloud. By night, it was a fire. How could you then question God about and argue about you didn't like Moses being the one in charge? Somebody else should be in charge sometimes. Other people should help be in charge. Remember they went through that and some of them had to be killed off. God had to open the ground and eat some of them. They had different things that happened throughout. You look at all the different times that God killed off groups of Israelites because they rebelled. They're sitting there watching it every day. There's the tabernacle. There's the smoke of God. There's the fire of God. This is a real thing. This is out of thin air. There's nothing making this stuff. And yet we question God. Oh, well, God, if you send me a miracle, I would know. No, you wouldn't. You'd be good for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then you'd be questioning again. Well, what was the rich man told whenever Lazarus died and he went over to heaven? Abraham, Father Abraham, send Lazarus down to talk to my brothers so that they can avoid this place. They have Moses and the prophets. Oh, but if they had one come back from the dead, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't listen. If they won't hear that, they're not going to hear this. We're human.
This thrilled me because it came through this week. I've been just really meditating all week about Brother Yoder's message, being filled with the Spirit. And I thought, and I've been praying, Lord, I want my life to be more like you. I want to be so that your presence will be here. And this is exactly what the Lord showed me. You cannot have my spirit without total obedience. And the glory of the Lord is not going to fill your life or your worship unless you're in total obedience to God. And that has been my prayer all week. I want the glory of God in my life, in my home, whatever I do. But I have to be totally led by the Spirit and follow what He shows me in order to have that.
See, you've jumped ahead a few weeks. That's what this is all about. When he talked about being filled with the Spirit, this is what it means. You meet all the conditions. You get in line with God. And then when he fills you with the Spirit, it won't just be a blessing for you. It'll be a witness to everyone. It can't be denied. They don't have to like it. They don't even have to accept it, but they can't deny it. What did he tell them in the one case in the New Testament about their witness when they went out and they did things? The world can say what they want against you, but they got to admit it's right. They got to admit that you can't argue God. You don't have to like it. You can't argue it. You can't fight against it. And when God came in, the priests couldn't even be there. They were the ones who were dedicated, cleansed, went through all the rituals to be ready to be able. Nobody could go in. Even Moses couldn't go in the temple. God was so full. He honored it. He blessed it. That was a temporary place. It wasn't even a permanent worship place. It was something that got torn down and set up and moved many times. How many times? They used that tabernacle for 480 years. Longer than we've been a country. Come on. We haven't even been a country for 480 years yet. They used a portable tabernacle for 480 years. And what you watch, you're going to find out if we read down the road, God blessed. He blessed future tabernacles, temples. He blessed. But it was never as intimate and personal as this one was. It was never the same. Oh, he blessed it. He was there. But this one was special. This one was the one time they could actually go somewhere and God went with them. They didn't have to go back to Jerusalem and find the temple again. When we went up north, God went with us. We went here, God went with us. Come on, this was different. This is the beginning of what God always wanted with man in that personal relationship. Always wanted. The tabernacle was beautiful inside, and we'll read about that. Inside it was just gold. It's hard to describe it. It was just gold. It was beautiful. You'd never imagined once you walked through this veil that was a tent. You wouldn't even be able to conceive of it because it was beautiful inside. It was all gold. But outside, it didn't look that fancy. You know why? Because it's not about how fancy the outside is. It's not about how much of a show we can put on what the world sees. It's about what's inside. Come on, we're going to get there. It's about what's inside. And this did become a problem down the road. They got the temples. It didn't take long for it started becoming about how beautiful the temple was. Come on, they lost everything that was happening inside the temple. We'll find that out. Come on, by Christ's time, God had left the temple and hadn't been there for 400 years, and they didn't even know it. It's about what's going on inside. And when God was working in there, and God was with them, He was talking to them, He was dealing with them, He was blessing them, they were seeing stuff Israel never seen in the rest of their history. Come on, from the time they left Egypt till they settled Canaan, that stretch of time, they saw things they never saw again, ever, out of God. He was a more personal God to them because some of them were actually still worshiping with all they had. Once they got settled, they got comfortable, they got self-sufficient, they got feeling safe and comfort, all these things, then it was a lot harder to need God. A lot harder to depend on God. A lot harder to rely on God. I thought it was interesting. We know when Solomon built the new temple, we do not have any idea what happened to the old tabernacle. It just disappears. You never read about it. He took a lot of the fixtures that were in it, and they were the same ones that got moved over into the new one. A lot of the things they were using, he brought them right over, and they kept right on using them for another 500 years. They weren't things Solomon made. They were things Moses made according to God's direct commandment way back. They were already old by the time the temple was made. But that was the biggest thing just in this part of the study that God brought out. It's not about that outside the temple. You're all worried about how it looks. You're all worried about how the outside of the temple, whether it's pleasing to the eye, whether people see it and they're astonished. I'm more worried about what's happening inside. Because there was nothing overly exciting about a lamb skin or a beaver skin or whatever it was covered tent. That's not particularly a really exciting looking place. But what was happening inside was unbelievable for God. So next, we're going to look at what's a temple. So we went from this, we went now. God said, okay. David came and said, Lord, we've been worshiping you in all over the place. We've been worshiping you in tents and stuff. And the first temple was built with the right reasons. We want to make a permanent place that's worthy of you. We want to do, this is for you. We want a permanent place that's worthy of your honor, worthy of your glory, that represents you. And the whole intent was all about God. And God said, David, I love it. You can't do it. Well, but God, it was my idea. You can't do it. Why? You've killed people. It was in war. It was at my command, but you've killed people. But you told, it was at my command, but you've killed people. You can't build a house of God. You can supply all the stuff for it. You can put together everything we need to build it. You can have it ready. Your son who's never been in war can build it for me. You can't build it. God is very picky about what he allows and what he'll accept, where he'll live, what he'll take. He's very, very picky. How was David described to us? Come on, God gave him a description every man on earth should love to have. A man after my own heart. The kind of person God's looking for. You can't build it. What? You had to be a man of war. You had no choice. But you can't build my place. But David, if you want, if you're really serious, you can provide stuff for the next man that he can do it. Whoo! Well, if I can't build it, I ain't want nothing to do with it. Nope. This was really about a house for God. If that's what it takes, God, it'll all be sitting there waiting. I'll have everything sitting there waiting. You read about it, get in there, read about it, and read the historical references where they try to tell you the dollar value of what David set up. It was many billions of dollars in our money worth of materials, gold and everything, ready for Solomon to start assembling this place. David put a lot of work in getting a place. I can't build it, but I'm going to have a place ready for God. Father, when your time comes, when it's time, it'll all be ready. I want to have my part in it. I can't be there, but I can help get it ready. Well, we've got to start learning when we're working for God, it's not about us. When we're trying to serve God, we're doing the work for Him. It's not about us. How many times have you read about, if you've done any meditation, reading and studying on the Christians coming through, you'll read about preachers who went all over their land, whatever country they were in, preaching. Preached everywhere. Saw very few people ever get saved. But then 100 years later, history, all these places that rose up because of that preacher. He never even knew it happened. He was just going everywhere, struggling, trying to spread the gospel like God told him to. It's not about us. It's about God and His work. Because when we start seeing the results of it, sometimes we let it go to our head. We got to really be careful. It's hard to put ourselves in a place where we keep it all about God when we start seeing success from it. And that's why a lot of times, as Paul said, so-and-so planted, so-and-so watered, so-and-so tended that field, so-and-so else reaped it. And the one reaping it is just in shock and awe. Man, I just mentioned it, and all these people are coming giving their hearts to God. I didn't even say nothing. Yep, that's the way I like it. It ain't about you. It's about me. I had men out there who I had preaching. They already had this guy ready. All you had to do was say, come on. And he came. And it wasn't about you. You know it wasn't about you because you didn't say much. You didn't tell him enough to get him saved. You just happened to be where I put you at the right time, at the right place, with the right person. God does these things on purpose. Remember, it's for His glory. I've done a lot of reading and studying about miracles. And God's not against miracles, but they were never a magic show. They were never just for our convenience, for us to have a better life, for us to have everything that we want. And in our mind, we think, make us happy. It was never about that. It was for His glory. It was to draw people to Him, for people to see Him. What did He say about the church, about the saints living for Him? You'll be a light up on a hill. You'll be a beacon. Drawing all men to you. Nope. Drawing them to me. When they see you, they're going to see me, and it's going to make them want me. This is what He's all about. So we got to keep our place and keep this in mind. Let's look at the next one. A temple is a permanent dwelling. Usually a large and grand dwelling. Again, God wasn't the only one who had a temple built for Him. Wasn't even the first that had a permanent temple built to Him. Many, many, many temples have been built to all kinds of false gods. But that's what a temple is a dwelling for the worship of a deity at its simplest root. Doesn't have to be a real one because we know there's no other God but God. It's not just a space for worship, but it's a space for communion. It's a space to talk to God. It's a place to encounter God, to meet with God. It's a place to meet with God's people. When we need to start thinking about all these things, when we start putting it back into the place of we're now God's temple, this is going to mean something. We're not our own. In Jewish life, the temple was not just a building on the corner. It was the center of Jewish life. Especially at the beginning. Everything they did in their daily life, in their weekly life, in their year, revolved around that temple. It was the center of life. It wasn't something, well, I have to go over here this week. No, everything was, this is happening at temple. This is happening at temple. And all life revolved around temple. We have it where God's a thing we put out here, and maybe if we feel like it, we'll go 2 or 3 or 4 times a month and go over and visit him. And he's blessed because we came. Come on, this is how a lot of the world treats it. He's lucky we showed up. He was the center of their life. Their rituals, their sacrifices, their praise, their worship, what they ate, when they ate, everything was about God. When the temple first went up, that's how they had been doing it with the tabernacle. It represented God's promises. It was a reminder because it was a place they could look at, and it was a reminder of everything they knew about God. When Solomon built it, it allowed people, larger groups of people, to now be able to come into the temple courtyard and be able to be part of it. The tabernacle tent structure was very small. Only a very select few could even come inside the fence around it, where they could actually see what was going on. They worshiped all those years. A lot of them never ever got in the gate. They worshiped outside the gate, still glad to be there. What? God's right there. You can see him. You can see his fire. You can see his smoke. He's right there. Now, the one Solomon built had a courtyard so big, thousands and thousands of people could be inside the courtyard. They couldn't go in the temple, but they could be in the courtyard and be right there where God was and see it. Witness. Wow, this is a big deal. It was beautiful inside and out. 2 Chronicles 6, 1 through 11. Do you mind getting that, sister?
Then said Solomon, the Lord had said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. But I have built a house of habitation for thee, and a place for thy dwelling forever. And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel. And all the congregation of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who hath his hands fulfilled that which he spoke with his mouth to my father David, saying, Since the day that I brought forth my people out of the land of Egypt, I chose no city among all the tribes of Israel to build an house, that my name might be there. Neither choose I any man to be a ruler over my people Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and having chosen David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of David, my father, to build an house for the name of the Lord God of Israel. For the Lord said to David, my father, Forasmuch as it was in thine heart to build an house for my name, thou didst dwell in that it was in thine heart. Notwithstanding, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son, which shall come forth out of thy loins, he shall build the house for thy name. The Lord therefore hath performed his word that he hath spoken. For I am risen up from the room of David my father, and am sat on the throne of Israel, as the Lord promised, and have built the house for the name of the
the children of Israel.
They were excited. They finally had the temple built. Can you read the next one? We just jump down verses 39 through 42. Same chapter.
Hear from heaven your dwelling place their prayer, their pleas, and maintain their cause to the people who have sinned against you. Now, O my God, may your eyes be open and your ears attentive to the prayer of this people. Now arise, O Lord God, and go to your resting place. You and the ark of your might, let your priests, O Lord God, be clothed with salvation. And let your saints rejoice in your goodness. O Lord God, do not turn away the face of your anointed one. Remember your steadfast love for David, your servant.
So they dedicated the temple. Solomon told them all about it, told the people, this is what it's for, and he prayed to God. Now, we're going to jump over to 2 Chronicles 7. Now God's going to talk to Solomon. So we hear little bits and pieces of this, but we don't put it in context of what was happening. 2 Chronicles 7, 5 through 9. Brother Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 through 4. I got it wrong.
Now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices. And the glory of the Lord filled the house. And the priests could not enter into the house of the Lord, because the glory of the Lord had filled the Lord's house. When all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and the glory of the Lord upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and worshipped and praised the Lord, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord.
Just a quick note. There was almost 100,000 animals sacrificed that day. God came down, sent fire, and burned them all up. Tell me that wasn't a witness to the people. That didn't wake them up just a little bit. Wow. We think it's great because he made a little column of fire. He came down in a whole field of animals. Wow. All right. 5 through 9, Solomon tells about how many animals he offered. It said they made offerings up there at sacrifices. Tells how much he offered. He offered a lot. All the thousands and all the different kinds. Let's jump down to 2 Chronicles 7, 12 through 22. Brother Andy? 2 Chronicles 7, 12 through 22. Hear that? We pick that one little scripture out of there. They put it on little signs, stick it in people's yards. They lose track of what it's all about. My people, when they've been not following me, when they've not been worshiping me, here's how to come back. Here's the only way I'll take them back. And if they do this, I'll forgive them. But if you won't do it, there's a price to be paid. When we talked about this, when we talked about who God is and about sin can't be where he is, it's not that God chooses to punish us. We punish ourselves. We can't be where he is for eternity. And what did he say? If you won't do it, I'll destroy it. I'll make it a laughing stock. People will be astonished. What happened to the house of God? When Solomon's temple was built, you read about it. There's even historical references to it. People from kingdoms from all over the then known earth came to see it. It was so glorious, so marvelous. And do you know what happened to it 410 years later? Not one block standing on top of another. Why? They quit serving God. And he told them, if you won't serve me, I'll make it a laughing stock. People came by. What happened to Solomon's temple? Well, they quit worshiping me. I told them I'd wipe them out. Now, this is setting us up. Remember, we're going to be studying about us being God's temple. He doesn't accept everything. He won't put up with everything. He has very exacting requirements. His glory can fill us. My word, the filling of the Holy Spirit can be unbelievable. When he did that, it was so strong nobody could even go in. It was like, wow, that's so full of God, I can't even go in there. But he won't put up with everything. And he doesn't choose to leave us. We choose to leave him.